does this view that you just described of the different faiths and how you see them all as brothers and sisters in one great divine presence, grounded in creation, and then reaffirmed by the presence of Jesus, expanding love and relationship to all. I think this is the summary of what you said. How does that relate to your vision for the planned house of friendship and hope? It's you who gave this house. I mean, you said call it that. You said call it House of Friendship and God. House of Friendship and Hope. So how does this whole vision translate into that?
Translate for?
My museum, so to speak, right? Which you called Casa d'Amicia Esperanza.
For this new
right.
New project.
The new project. How does your vision?
For me, it's important just because I hope that all religious people meeting and recognizing each other in some way that makes them appreciate the other vision because of this foundation, of this ground, that we are all in God, and God is in all of us. And so we have a different way to perceive Him, but they are all important ways because we are men in the history, and we must perceive our God, who is immense, is eternal. It's impossible to think in different way. So there's a home where we can learn to appreciate each other, to learn each other, so that we don't see each other from far. From far, we don't perceive. What I perceive also with Jewish tradition, since I made friendship with you, is more than what I learned in books.
Right.
In books. And so it's so important that we have this possibility to be and to live a little bit with each other. Of course, each one must be faithful to what he believes, and this is a condition. Otherwise, we should have a confusion of faith,
right.
and this is not good. It's not. I know that it's not what you want. It's not what I want. But a friendship, and a relationship for a world which gives us not these images of wars, spiritual and material, which is not really the plan of God and the desire of man.
So if I go back to earlier in the conversation, what I hear you saying, in fact, is this new project is a kind of temple. Because it's a temple where people have to meet each other and to meet God in the other, and therefore it's another kind of temple. It's not a church, it's not a synagogue, but it's a temple of friendship and a temple of hope and a temple of meeting. Would you agree with that?
I wouldn't call it a temple because this makes a confusion.
Makes the confusion. Okay.
I prefer the term house. It's a house. House is so important. We live in a house. We have home in our houses, and
we don't live in the house. We live in homes.
In homes. But this is a home for all religious people. But I wouldn't say that it's a temple abstractly. We could also say that in a very scientific way, because everything is temple of God. We are now in temple of God because everything. So in abstract way, we could also say that. But in a time of confused ideas,
Right.
we must be also prudent. Why already people are much confused, and so we cannot inspire more confusion.
What would St. Francis say about this new project, this new house?
Of course, Francis lived in other times where a dialogue like this, wouldn't be possible. But he had some prophetic inspiration that are for today. The first one is not meeting with the Sultan. I don't think that is the first and most important thing. The most important thing was really what he lived here in the room of renunciation, of stripping himself of his garment, of his egoism, because this is the one way to make us sufficiently empty, to let God fill each one of his love. And so the first thing that is important, that he became here a radically disarmed man, a radically empty man, to become filled from the love of God. The second moment of his theology, radical theology and radical spirituality, is where he writes in the rule that we must be submitted to all human beings, and also, he adds, to animals. This is something strange to understand, but what he wanted to say, in my opinion, what I read in this passage, is that we must be so humble, that we must look all the other beings, and not only human beings, as messenger of God. And so we must be submitted to the voice of God.
So also in other religions.
Also in other religions, submitted, he says, submitted. So, and in virtue of this, he was able to go to the Sultan.
Right.
Of course, he had his faith, and perhaps he wanted to also to testify his faith, because to testify my faith, once we spoke of this, to testify my faith is not to feel myself more or more important, but only friend. If I love you, I must give to you what I have of most precious in my life. In what when the faith is the most precious thing that I have for a friend, for a human being, I must testify it. If you accept it or not accept it, this is another thing. But for me, if I love you as a friend, I must give you what I have most precious in my life. So I testify. When people don't understand...
Okay, but back to Francis and other religions.
Back to Francis, he went to the Sultan because he was a disarmed man. He was a stripped man. He was a humble man. So he wanted to submit him. I think of the Sultan that saw this man so humble, so simple. Really, his eyes said that for him, his life was worth nothing. What was worth for him was to love the Sultan and to give him something important in their dialogue. That was peace, that was love. So I imagine the Sultan who saw him I understand why the Sultan didn't keep him and killed him. And in a context, in a frame where all the Christians were there with arms to conquer.
So back to our project. So what does that mean for us?
Oh, something is very important. It means that through this friendship, this being together, recognizing together in God, we put a very important foundation in the world in order that the world become a world of love, of peace, of justice, of friendship.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. It's my joy.